Sego, welcome. My name is Jolene John, and I'm very honored and humbled to be given the opportunity to interview a respected, two-spirited elder. She's Cree and Métis from Saskatchewan, and her name here is Blu Waters. She's agreed to answer some questions that I may have and also share a story with me that she has written and is published. It's called Time Capsules. And we're just going to discuss some of the work that we do together in terms of working with No More Silence, a committee on missing and murdered Indigenous women, and she's going to provide her personal account on the story of her grandmother who had went missing. So I would just also like to include that Blu has graciously accepted my offer, my request to interview her. In following protocol, I presented her with tobacco tie, and actually it was a sage tie for with.
Talking of women's medicines.
Talking of, women's medicines there, and she had agreed to share her story with not only myself, but my supervisor, Jen Jensen, as well as the public. So I'll just have Blu take it away.
Thank you very much. So as customary, Jolene came looking for an input from me. So I have accepted her offering. And I have offered to give her permission to use a written article which I created, which is, it came out of my attendance at the Murdered and Missing Women rally that was being held at 40 College Street, and that was a few years ago. And this is something that, as Jolene said, I participate in actively now. It did take me quite a long time to be able to participate in this issue because our murdered and missing Indigenous women in fact affects so many of us. And it has such a huge impact on our lives that at times, I know for myself, it took quite a while for me to be able to speak about it and to share how I felt about it and the impact that it had on not only my direct life, but those in my family, as well as my extended family, the community that I share, and in general with all those that are affected by it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you for allowing me to sit with you and share with you what I know.
Well, yeah, I thank you for agreeing to. Really appreciate it because I do know that I myself have lost my cousin. She was murdered in 2011. And I know I can relate to it having a severe impact on not only myself, but my family, my extended family, my community, and nation. And really it affects all of us, right? Because it is a systemic issue.
Correct, yeah.
So maybe you can provide a little bit of information as to how Time Capsules came to be, and maybe you can offer your own story that inspired this poem.
Jolene will post this up so that you can read it for yourselves. I was going to participate in the Murdered and Missing Women rally, and some of this information came to me in the way of a dream. I researched it afterwards and thought, I need to get more answers on this, because I know with a lot of Aboriginal people, we receive our knowledge through visions and through dreams, as well as being passed on from person to person. So I was trying to prepare myself to be able to go to this rally, because it was something that was very hard for me, very emotional. And some of this came from that, and what it speaks of is that, there's so many people out there that have gone missing and have been murdered that no one knows where they are. The families have no type of, you can't even say closure, because it's something that just doesn't get closed and go away. But they have no sense of knowing where their loved ones are. So in writing this, it speaks of, 350 is the number of bones we have in our body that lay underground, unknown. And, do they lay there silently? Do they just decay and rot? For me, it came to me that no, they don't. We may not know where they are physically, but their remains are there under the ground. And through their remains spring life. And it springs life in the way of nourishing that soil and decomposing in the soil. And out of that comes our medicines that we use. So they're not really lost. We just don't know where they are. They're just waiting to be found.
And they're serving a new purpose, too.
They are. And for some people, that wait seems like it never comes. And I know many people have passed on not knowing where their loved ones are because they still are missing. Hopefully, it won't be something that continues on and more go missing and more become murdered and more are unknown where their remains be. But it may be a sense of helping other people find a little bit of relief in knowing that, it's not in vain. Just because we don't know where they are physically, they're still there somewhere. And they could be in that plant that springs from the ground. It could be in that, grass that starts to grow in an area where it never did before.
Mm-hmm.
There's signs and symbols to us that it gives us something to look for, something to be hopeful for, because it's a heart-wrenching topic to discuss. So for me, some of it came through sitting down and thinking and praying and saying, how do I approach this situation? How can I be present in that situation and still have my composure without, breaking down crying and just sharing that raw emotion. So I came up with this writing, and I read it at the Murdered and Missing rally, and it was back in 2009. And I'm hoping that it gave a bit of comfort to other people. As you read it, you go through it, you'll see that, it speaks about that. They're not gone unnoticed, they're not gone for no reason. They're just like a time capsule waiting to be discovered. And hopefully they will one day be discovered.
Absolutely. And I know for me, I see comfort in knowing that my cousin's passed on to the spirit world, and she's there with my other family members who have passed on, and we carry them with us too, right? They're around us, and they're our protectors too. But thank you for sharing that. What role do you think colonialism has played in the case of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls?
Oh, it's had a huge impact. I mean, Aboriginal teachings are to take care of 7 generations past and 7 generations to come. So we're one group of people who have been given those teachings of how to live our life in a good way and to follow those teachings of love and kindness and compassion. We're not violent people. We were never violent people. We had respect for everything. Everything has a spirit. That's our teachings, that's my teachings that I was taught, that everything that has a being has a spirit. Therefore, it has to be respected, it has to be honored, it has to be loved, it has to be cared for and nurtured. Now, in the way of colonialism, it seems like it's every man for himself. It's, survival of the strongest and the fittest. That's individualized. That doesn't serve a community. It serves an individual need.
Especially the role that patriarchy has played on our men and how it's emasculated them.
Definitely. I mean, women are respected in Aboriginal culture. Women are they're the head of the household, as opposed to colonialism where the man is in charge of everything and the woman is submissive. No, I mean, we share roles. We work with each other. No one is greater than the other. No one is less than the other. In colonialism, that man takes on that role and has been taught that role of being superior. So therefore, the woman has no value. The woman is submissive. The woman is not as important. And following those idealisms, it creates violence. It creates, when women find a voice and men become very upset by that, and they don't work with compassion and kindness and love. So they act out of violence, they act out of anger. And a lot of our women are taken through violent deaths. Most of them have, been beaten and stabbed and shot and, forced to do things that no one should ever have to do before they're senselessly killed. And for what reason? So that someone can be superior. That's not our ways, that's not our teachings.
And I wonder what our roles and our responsibilities are in making sure that we go back and we nourish that balance between men and women. I wonder what we can do in recognizing our own roles. Do you have any kind of thoughts about that?
Well, I think through colonialism, which strive to take the Indian out of the child, take the cultural practices away, they silenced too many people for too long. Now individuals are coming back to their cultures. There's coming that awakening, which was prophesied that, as through even Uriel, my people will awake after 100 years, right? So people are starting to wake up and realize that the way life is being lived right now is not in a good way. So they're going back to their cultures, they're going back to their teachings. They're starting to educate themselves in the way of traditional teachings, not colonial teachings. And I think when we get into those practices of of traditional teachings rather than colonial, we learn about love, we learn about respect. We teach our children from an early age that everything has value. So when you instill those values and those idealisms and teachings in younger children, they carry them so they don't become corrupted through colonial idealisms that are out there. So that can help, and it will stop the violence laterally, as well as educate those colonial people out there to the idealism. Your way isn't working. When you arrived here in North America, we weren't living the way life is today. We were sustaining ourselves. We were providing for our own families. We didn't have handouts from anyone. We worked together as communities. When colonialization came in, everybody wanted to be the boss of everything. Everybody wanted to own everything, displaced everyone, sent the children away to residential school to get the cultural out of them. Participated in all types of, raping of our land, whether it's through, building mines and destroying the earth just to get the valuable substances that are below the earth, to be greedy, to make money off of. We didn't have those things. So to get back to traditional teachings of how do we conduct ourselves, how do we live our life? Are we living it for ourselves as individuals, or are we living it for our families and communities? Because if we live it as an individual, we won't benefit. We may become materialistic and have dollar value, but what do we lose in the meantime? We lose our families, we lose our closeness, we lose our communities, we lose our sense of belonging because we're striving to be one rather than a community.
Right. And I really respect that all of those that wisdom there, and especially when you had mentioned about teaching our younger ones, teaching the children, and really nourishing their spirit, right? Because really they are the future. They're the present, right? And their roles and responsibilities are to disrupt the status quo, right? And what are we doing in as their teachers and their mentors, right? To make sure that they are living that good life, and that they're maintaining those principles of peace and respect and kindness, compassion, love.
Yeah, I mean, for us, one of our earliest teachings are that those children are pure. When they come into life and they breathe their first breath, their minds are not polluted. Other people's ideals have not been put into them. So they're the closest to the Creator. So we respect that child, and that child is brought to us as a gift of joy. And that child is meant to be nurtured and loved. It's not meant to be talked to in an abusive way. It's not meant to be there to be a servant. It's not meant to be disrespected. So by honoring that child, when we attend our ceremonies, our children come with us. And they sit and they play and they run around the room. We don't tell them, you know, shh, quiet, quiet, I'm listening to something. Because we don't know who they're talking to. They could be talking to one of our ancestors because their minds are not polluted. They can hear those things. They have those gifts of vision. They have that gift of understanding. They have that closeness with the Creator.
So there's so much that we can learn from them too.
We have to. We have to learn from the children, and we have to respect the children because they will be the future. If we don't take care of them now, as we're older, we'll have no one to take care of us.
Awesome. Now I thank you for sitting down with me. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everybody? Maybe something that, or burning desire, something that we can maybe leave to kind of enact a certain action out of people?
I would say it starts with looking inward. Okay, it starts at looking at ourselves. Look at yourself and see, where is your life right now? Are you happy in the situation that you're in? If you're not, what can you do to change that? There are a lot of resources out there that we don't know of. And all it takes is a word, to speak to someone else, to say, hey, what do you do to maintain control of your life? What do you do to seek a better way of living? And to go and ask those older ones in your community, no matter which nation they're from, no matter which country they're from. We all share commonalities, you know, which are old teachings of how to live your life. So it doesn't have to remain, you know, Aboriginal, it doesn't have to remain colonialism. There's so many different cultures out there and different ideas that we can go to because we're all similar in a lot of ways. So to seek out what you don't know and ask questions, because if you don't ask, you'll never find out. As Aboriginal people, we sit back and we watch, and then we partake, which is quite the opposite of the colonialist ways. They go in and make a big racket and conquer everything and try and take control of. We sit back, on the other hand, watch what's going on, then we choose our words. We say, how can I address this situation in a way that's not offensive to somebody else? Because I don't want someone to be offensive to me, I'm not going to be offensive to them. So we sit, we watch, and then we partake. So watch your own lifestyle, see where you sit, see how you speak with people, see how your life, how you live it, see if you're living in a good way, see if you're abusing anything. If you are, it's never too late to make changes.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.